Please make sure you have your copy of the activity, How Can You Tell If Electrons Are Gained or Lost? What we're going to do in this experiment is prepare a compound made out of two elements, zinc and iodine. Zinc is a gray, powdery looking substance, and iodine, when it's in solution, is a brown looking substance. These two elements join together to form zinc iodide. Now we can't see what's actually happening in the reaction between them when electrons are exchanged, and because this one is a metal and this one is a non-metal, we can't measure using the galvanometer which way the electrons are pulled, because non-metals don't conduct electricity. So instead we're going to use a process called electrolysis, which literally means electricity breaking, to reverse the process of forming the compound. And using the reverse process, we'll be able to tell which one of these two elements gained or lost electrons when the original compound was formed. So when you go back to the bench, you'll find a test tube, and you'll find a little stick, and you'll find the elements zinc and iodine. And what you can do is you can start by taking a couple of good-sized scoops of zinc and putting them into your test tube, just as much as you can fit onto the end of the stick there, and then about one scoop of the iodine. The iodine, it has fumes, so make sure that you put the top back on when you're done with it. So a good scoop of iodine, and then you can add a squirt of water. Now when you add the squirt of water, the two materials in here are going to react. Right now they're not reacting because they're just in their solid form, but the water helps to dissolve the material and helps them to come together a little bit more. Now when it reacts, it can spray out a little bit. If it's a strong reaction, it might make a puff of purple smoke. It'll get hot. If you put your hand under there, you'll feel it. So make sure that this is pointing away from anybody, not at anybody, and that you have your goggles on so that if this does blow out a little bit, it doesn't cause any problems. What you want to do then is, after it's done reacting, add several more squirts of water, almost to about halfway point. Here's one that I did earlier. There's some leftover zinc in the bottom. If your solution looks like it's yellow, that's because not all of the iodine has been used up in the reaction, and you may need to add a little bit more zinc and then swirl it around. So look at the color. When this is all done and settled, you should see a clear layer of water on the top. Let this settle for a while so that the water on the top gets clear and all the extra zinc sinks to the bottom. And then you can use a squeezy pipette to draw the liquid off of the top and put it through a filter into a beaker. The compound zinc iodide was formed in the reaction, and you can't see the compound because it's dissolved in the water. So we'll filter out any leftover zinc by putting it through this filter, and make sure that when you do this that you just get the liquidy part, and when you put that through, the liquid that collects in the bottom, that's the stuff that you're looking for. After that's done draining, you can throw away the filter, and what you'll end up with is just a beaker full of liquid. Looks like water, but there's a compound in there. And what we want to do is separate the two elements again that formed the original compound. So to do that, we're going to use electricity. There's a 9-volt battery at your bench, and when you hook this thing up, you want to make sure that you hook it up with the known positive and negative charged electrodes. This one here that looks kind of smaller is the positively charged electrode, and this one over here that looks bigger is the negatively charged electrode. And so if you follow the diagram and read those instructions carefully, what you'll do is you'll hook up the red wire to the smaller side and the black wire to the bigger side, and then attach the other ends to two graphite rods. Graphite is a form of carbon that conducts electricity, and we're going to use that as electrodes, and we'll put the electricity into the solution. And when you put this in, if you look down at the liquid, at the electrodes, you'll see on the end of each one a different chemical reaction occurring, and the original elements will reform. You can tell which one is which by looking for the characteristic colors of the zinc, which looks gray, and the iodine, which looks brown. By tracing back which one is being formed on which electrode, we can figure out which element originally gained or lost electrons by the reversal of the reaction by electrolysis. When you're all done, just take these electrodes out. You can throw this down the sink and rinse out the beaker real well, and rinse out your test tubes in the sink as well and put them back in the test tube rack.